Шановні колеги, ми продовжуємо робочий день. До слова запрошується перший заступник голови СММ ОБСЄ в Україні, пан Олександр Хук. Mr. Hook, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, dear friends. It has been 2 weeks since I last spoke here. A lot has happened, some good and some not so good. Something very positive happened last Friday. The sides, through the trilateral contact group in Minsk, agreed to renew their commitment to adhere to the ceasefire at the start of the new school year. More on that later. In the week before last, however, between 15 and 21st of August, the OSCE Special Monitoring Mission recorded more than double the number of ceasefire violations compared to the week before. The number of recorded mortar rounds nearly tripled, and the number of artillery rounds recorded doubled in the Donetsk region during that week between 15 and 21st of August. We have not seen such an intensive violence since April 2016. Last week, between 22nd and 28th of August, we recorded a 25% decrease in the number of ceasefire violations in the Donetsk region and a 150% increase in the Luhansk region compared to the week before. Fluctuations are particularly noticeable on a daily basis. For instance, we recorded almost 1,000 explosions in the Donetsk airport Avdiivka-Yasinovata triangle on Sunday. 4 days before, in the same area, we recorded 170. Similarly, in the Luhansk region, on Sunday and Monday, we recorded over 200 explosions, mostly around Stanitsa Luhanska, compared to just 8 on Friday. Dear colleagues, where there is an explosion, there is obviously a weapon. We have observed many of them in violation of agreed withdrawal lines. Our publicly available daily reports keep getting longer and longer. I won't bore you with the details. Just 3 examples are required to demonstrate how both sides have failed to withdraw their weapons from what is supposed to be a security zone. On 26th of August, we spotted 4 multiple launch rocket systems in government-controlled Chilabodorivka in the Donetsk region. On the 23rd of August, we observed 6 such multi-launch rocket systems in DPR-controlled Chistatkyove, that was former Torres, and 2 of those systems in LPR-controlled Bukhaydivka. These weapons are real, and we have seen them. They are ferocious and murderous and indiscriminate. It is the civilian population that bears the brunt of such weapons. On Saturday, our monitors confirmed at the morgue in Donetsk city that a man had died as a result of shrapnel wounds in the city's Kirovsky district. In the government-controlled part of Solote, 2 days later, a young man told us that his mother had died after being struck by a bullet fired through a window. The chance of civilians getting killed or injured is of course increased by a practice adopted by both sides. They continue in violation of established international rules to place military hardware and personnel in and around civilian infrastructure. Again, a couple of examples will suffice. Our monitors observed on 25th of August, for example, a military compound located some 120 meters from a school in government-controlled Komisuhavaka in the Luhansk region. And they saw on 28th of August 2 armed units positioned next to a school in so-called DPR-controlled Samiliove. Dear friends, as in any conflict, there is often much confusion. Much of it deliberately so. Lies and half-truths and innuendo are part of the arsenals. Misinformation becomes the weapon of choice when objective facts have been established by an impartial civilian monitoring mission. When those facts clearly show continued non-compliance, when those facts demonstrate beyond any doubt that proscribed weapons have not been withdrawn as agreed, when those facts show the continued use of such weapons, often directed towards civilian areas. The tactic is an age-old one. When the message is uncomfortable, attack the messenger. Last week, for example, despite clearly documenting in our daily report, a senior so-called DPR member alleged that we had not recorded ceasefire violations in so-called DPR-controlled Yasinovata. His allegation is one of many, all insinuating that the SMM is not doing its job. But dear friends, the facts are clear. Anyone who reads our reports can see this. They painstakingly outline the nighttime ceasefire violations, the presence of weapons, and the results of crater analysis conducted by our monitors at the scenes of shellings. The latest figures I have, in fact, show that our monitors the week before last conducted the analysis on over 200 craters. That week, they conducted 528 patrols, 347 of them in eastern Ukraine. That amounts to a daily average of 75 patrols. Contrary to the innuendo, our monitors are clearly not watching TV. They are watching the contact line. Often, the facts established by the OSCE Special Monitoring Mission are uncomfortable. For example, over 100 of the 200 craters analyzed that week were near civilian infrastructure on both sides of the contact line. Our monitors also found damage to schools from shrapnel and small arms fire in so-called DPR-controlled Khorlivka and in government-controlled Marinka. Attacking the messenger does not change the message. These facts remain. Dear friends, if the SMM has failed in any way to do its job, it is for one simple reason. We are prevented from doing it. I will give you an example. On 26th of August, civilians in so-called DPR-controlled Pikusi, formerly Kominternove, asked the SMM to observe damage to their homes and analyze craters in the area. Armed so-called DPR members refused to allow the SMM to enter the village, claiming it was about to be shelled. The SMM did not hear any shelling. Our monitors did, however, observe 2 infantry fighting vehicles in the village. As well as denying us unhindered access, certain groups also threaten our unarmed civilian monitors. On 22nd of August, despite reassurances from Mr. Sakarchenko, just a few hours before, armed so-called DPR members in Lukove aggressively demanded to search SMM vehicles while pointing a machine gun at our monitors. I'm happy to say, and I hope it suggests a new approach, that the so-called DPR members involved subsequently apologized to our monitors. We also have cases where the sites fire weapons from positions so close to our monitors that their lives are endangered, forcing them to leave. Effectively, such practice means we are unable to do our jobs. It happened on 2 separate nights last week in government-controlled Stanica Luhanska, with outgoing fire taking place approximately 600 meters from our forward patrol base there. The most recent incident on Tuesday night in government-controlled Shastia forced us to evacuate our monitors. Mortars impacted within 200 meters of their position. I started this briefing by telling you a lot has happened over the past 2 weeks, some good, some bad. As you can see, most of it has been bad. As mentioned earlier, however, the sides have recommitted not to violate the ceasefire. We had a similar pledge last year. It brought considerably reduced levels of violence for almost 2 months. Now, we have already noted a drop-off in violence, but it is still too early to say if the sides are truly committed to adherence. There is no question in my mind that if they truly are committed, they can do it. Both sides, for instance, agreed last Friday to cease fire in Yasinovata, the bloodiest hotspots of all in Donbass, in order to allow an aid convoy into the area, and they did not fire. Dear colleagues, I think it's important to note the role of the Joint Center for Control and Coordination in the temporary adherence to the ceasefire in Yasinovata last Friday. Control and coordination is crucial. In Yasinovata, we saw that the JCCC do what it was designed to do. Looking at the very low numbers of ceasefire violations recorded over the past 2 days, I know that such control and coordination are being exercised by the Joint Center for Control and Coordination. For that, I applaud their efforts and work. With a properly functioning Joint Center for Control and Coordination, the ceasefire can stick. It is possible. All that's required is that the will to make it happen. As usual, at the end of my statement here, I would like to inform you about the latest mission numbers. As of today, the mission has 704 monitors, of whom 583 are deployed in the east. In addition, there are 310 Ukrainian colleagues and 92 other international staff working for the OSCE Special Monitoring Mission. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Hook. We have a question. It will be asked in Ukrainian. Please.
Several sources reported that the SMM is escaping, is running away from Donbas. Yuri Kasyanov recently, through the Novotroitsk crossing route, there is a convoy escorted by OSCE. There is one more information from the volunteer, Mr. Gaidash. 2 days ago, OSCE left Shastya, and the mission evacuated the transport. And my question is whether the SMM, the OSCE SMM, is leaving Donbas.
The answer is no. And I have to emphasize once again that the sites have the responsibility to ensure the safe and unhindered access of the monitors to the contact line. The incident in Shastye was an evacuation forced upon the mission in the middle of the night due to incoming mortar fire that had been preceded by outgoing mortar fire in the area. The team is back in Shastye the day after and operates there at the contact line. If we have no access, we cannot monitor. If we cannot monitor, we cannot verify. If we cannot verify, we cannot build trust between the sites, and without trust, nothing will work. Access is key. Thank you.
For Shastya, it's okay, but why the convoy was leaving Donetsk? Another situation that was reported when SMM escorted the convoy that was leaving Donetsk. Can you comment on that?
Thank you. The SMM is not escorting convoys. This is not its mandate. The SMM monitors, and it crosses the contact line whenever, for operational reasons, it is needed. The SMM has a robust presence in the Donbas, in areas controlled and in areas not controlled by the government.
Дякую вам. Чи є ще запитання?
Thank you very much.
This conference is finished. Thank you for coming and looking forward to seeing you here next week.
Thank you.